Right, well, welcome back to another review, and today we are having a look at a Hornby mod, as you can see by the ever so famous logo on the box there, and it is a GWR Grange class locomotive, which is number 6816, and it's called Frankton Grange. And it's weathered. Look at that. As you can see on the box, it says weathered edition. I don't buy very many weathered locomotives. It's only now and then that I do, but it's not very often. The last weathered locomotive I bought, I do believe, was the City of Nottingham. I forget now. And it cost only £75, and this was bought at the weekend from the Severn Valley Railway Spring Steam Gala, which, even though it was the Spring Gala, there was snow around. But this was bought from Bewdley, because there is a carriage down there that sells models. I walked in there, saw this. They actually were selling two of these, this one being the weathered one, and there was a BR black one. I preferred the weathered one, so I bought it. Oh, sorry about that then, bit of crap on my fingers. Well, not literally, because I always wash my hands. But I preferred the weathered one to the black one, because I think the weathered one looks a bit more realistic, like it's worked hard, if you get what I mean. And it's never been opened before out the box, so it's brand new. But wow. And it is super detail, but that can sometimes be hit and miss, but that does not apply here to the locomotive. But either way, let's get this open. I've only just got round to opening this up. Okay, now as you can see, it's the two-part polystyrene packaging, which is a favourite of mine, as you all know. Yes, and as you can see, this box is sometimes a problem, because I've actually ripped the end of the card insert there. But anyway, so here's the standard box. Dodgy focus there. So I'll put the box to one side, and the card insert, because we're not really going to need that. And then here's the instructions for the 6800 Grange class. Oh. Well, that's just fallen out, we'll come to that in a bit. So, here's the instructions. On the back, it's how to fit the brake rods. Though sometimes they're already actually fitted already. Now, it's basically lubrication, how to remove the body and replacing the motor, and also how to remove the coal. Apparently you take the small bit out of the chute first, then you get a screwdriver and prise it under the coal in the tender, then lift it out, which is interesting. And also we don't get the tender connection where you get that white plug attached to wires that you clip into the tender. It's one of those earlier tender connections, as you can see. You'll see what I mean on the model. So there's the instructions. Then here's the DCC jacket, which is useless, to be quite honest. Now, it does actually feel light in the packaging, which is somewhat different, but either way, oh, sorry about that, just knocked the camera in slightly. So, let's get this open by taking these plastic sleeves off, or actually one actually, which is something different. Then we just get rid of the plastic cover. There's a lot of crap on it there. Then we turn our attention to the detail pack. Excuse the rude car horn then. And it's actually not much, to be honest. just a spare coupling and a dovetail connection thing. So I suppose you could slot that into there. Well, of course you can. But that's somewhat unusual. So I'll put that to one side. Right. That's interesting. Oh, there we go. The locomotive was actually attached to the top of the box cover, which is something that you don't always get, which is interesting. And also at the same time, you may have noticed that this piece of white foam fell out. Okay. So then, let's get the locomotive out and the tender, because now that that's out, I can get rid of the bottom. So, what do we look at first? Well, we will look at the locomotive. So, we all know what to do. We'll just take the tissue paper off. Just drop that down for a sec. Get rid of that. See, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I really do not like the tissue paper that they wrap the locomotives up. It's just a bit ridiculous, but anyway. Wow. This is really stunning. I mean, just look how realistic this looks. Oh, there's a couple of bits of polystyrene in the back there, but we'll get them out in a sec. So, first of all, she's very heavy. And I mean very heavy. There's a lot of weight in that. So that's not going to have any problems pulling a rake of wagons or couches. But you know, weight is good, because without the weight this locomotive would pretty much be useless. There is a NEM socket on the front there, as you can see. There's rivets on the buffer beam and a brake pipe added. And also a chain link coupling. And also weathered sprung metal buffers, as you can see. There is some rivets on the running board, as you can see, just look at that. That is really good. And you get some lamp points on the front there as well. There's some riveting on the cylinders as well, and they're weathered. The link motion in valve gear is all done accurately, as you can see. Now actually the brake rods are already added. And I've noticed that recently, in the instructions it tells you how to fit the brake rods. But I've noticed them recently that they've already been put on, which is interesting. As you can see, we have the cab steps there at the back and there's rivets on them. Now this is what I mean by this coupling, the tender connection. This is the earlier one, before they switch to the one that you basically have wires attached to it and a white plug that you plug into the tender. That is where you'd fit the chip. But in this case it's different. But you know, it's nice to have that though still. As you can see, there's the footstep, which is stuck on firmly and has a nice texture and feel onto it, but we'll come to that in a bit. And there's metal handrails at the side of the cab. There's even rivets on the top as well, which is always a welcome. And again, glazing in the cab windows, which is very nice. There's the number 6816, and there's the name, Frankton Grange. Now I actually do really like that name. I suppose you could rename it and renumber it if you wanted, but I won't. I'll leave it as it is. Also, you've got the chimney there at the top, and just look at the copper cap you have. That is really nice. And also you've got the GWR safety valves as well. That is really nice moulded. Well, it's not moulded, but you know what I mean. It's really nicely done. And just look at the bits inside it. They're not moulded either, they're put in separately. And then you've also got the whistles there on top as well. I nearly said whiffles then. Ugh. Then of course you've got the rivets around the smoke box door and metal handrails that come along down the side and round to the front of the smoke box door, in which they curve round to the front. You've also got an extra lamp iron on the smoke box door, which does not open, should I say, but then the latter doesn't really need to. It's still there, so it's detailed. You've also got the number on the front there as well, 6816. Then you've got the shed plate, 87E. So that's obviously somewhere on the Great Western region. Because these were all built by Swindon Works. There was 80 of them built. And these actually had the 3,500 gallon tenders to start with, before having the 4,000 gallon tender, which is here, which we'll come on to in a bit. And these were actually, well, they are, should I say, smaller wheeled versions of the halls, in which they are mistaken for sometimes, because, let's face it, the Granges, they do look a bit hallish, don't they? But the notable difference is the size of the wheels. And interestingly, the wheels, the valve gear and the link motion, and the tenders, were actually taken from withdrawn engines. So that is really interesting. And of course, none are preserved now, which is a shame. Although there is the Llangollen Railway, which is building a new one of these, which is called the Betton Grange, which apparently, according to Wikipedia, is supposed to be one of the ones that was meant to have been built anyway, but they never built it. So yeah, 87E is somewhere on the GWR. I don't know where exactly, but you know, I don't really care, to be honest, at the moment. Then you have the smoke box door handles, in which you open up that way to open it up, which is very nicely detailed. Do be careful with them. And then on the side here you've got the reversing lever, which is what's been used when the driver switches the locomotive into reverse. You've got handrails as well, rivets on the running board, and the name again, Frankton Grange. And of course there's riveting on the back, and if you just take out this polystyrene chunk and chuck it away, there is actually painted cab detailing. Just look at that. If you turn it up like that, yeah, you can just about see it. And it's all painted, the lever, the dials, the gauges, the pipes. There's everything you want in there that's painted. And that is just so stunning. Just look at that. And then of course, you've got the footplate, which stops the crew from falling off, which is nicely detailed. So yeah, so far she's a great model. So we'll just put the locomotive there and get the tender into shot. Let's just take this tissue paper off, that I famously don't like. So as you can see, this is the Churchill Tender, because it's riveted and it has these ridges on the side. You do get the Hawksworth Tender, which doesn't have the ridges and is smooth and has no rivets. But then again, Granges in reality did not have the Hawksworth Tenders. But either way, we have sprung metal buffers on the back, obviously. We have named couplings, and even the couplings themselves have been weathered. Well, this one has. The one that you get with the detailing pack is, well, it has been slightly weathered, but bizarrely only the coupling hook has, and not this bit, which is a little bit odd compared to what you get with this one. But anyway, again there's rivets on the buffer beam, a few lamp irons and a brake pipe. There's rivets on the back of the tender and metal handrails going down at the back and the front. You just look at that, there's the early emblem there, which is my favourite BR crest out of them all. Then the underframe of the tender, you've got the steps there, the footsteps, the axle boxes and the tender brakes, the springs. And these are called the springs, because I saw that in the video once. And again, you have, well, that's where the tender connects to the loco, obviously. You got the water scoop there, which used to pick up the water from the troughs in reality, and you have the brake rods fitted on the tender. Then you have the typical GWR tender buffers, which are not sprung, but then again, they don't really need to be. Then you've got the handles here, in which transfers water from the tender to the boiler. Now, I don't see how the coal is going to be removable that easy. Because according to the instructions, if we just get them, see, this is must always why you should never throw your instructions in the bin. It says, gently push the small coal from the chute to unclip. Right, so we shall do that, but whether it's going to work is beyond me. And that's a bit risky, because I don't want to damage these. I'll tell you what, I'll get a screwdriver, because I've had an idea. Right, here's a screwdriver. It's the smallest one I can find. Well, that idea isn't going to go down too well. It definitely does want to come out, but it can't. And that is because this bit here simply does not want to play. Now, I suppose that this is going to be a criticism. Well, it is a criticism, because I just simply cannot get the little blighter out. You see, this is one of the things that annoys me with these instructions. They make it out like it's easy, and it's not. Because I do want to get real coal put in this. Why they just haven't gone with the method of just turning it upside down, or getting a nail under it just to pick it out, is beyond me. Why they did it this way, I don't know. Right, I've got an old-fashioned needle, my favourite thing to use when it comes to this. Yeah, here we go. There we go. It's out. So the way the coal's been designed to be removable is not exactly brilliant. And when it comes to putting the real stuff in, actually, what is that bit? Ah! No. This isn't the removable coal that's just come out, it's that little bit from there. But then again, it could be designed to be like that, because this plastic coal here didn't want to come out. So it could be because that the instructions are poorly written, which is more than unlikely. So, they're chucked away. I will glue that back on before running it, and well, since it's going to have real coal in it anyway, I might as well just keep this load out. Because, you know, it's a bit of a pain in the backside. But anyway, so there's the chute in there, inside of the tender. So we'll get real stuff put in this. And that's where the water goes into. And so that's basically about it, to be honest. And there is a fair little bit of weight in the tender. It's not too heavy, but then it doesn't really need to be. So, what else is there to say? Well, it is a fantastic model, apart from the way the coal has been designed to be removable. It just isn't right. But that is really my only criticism. So anyway, the most important thing now to do is to put it on the tracks and see what it's like. Right, so here are the tracks, putting the newest acquisition to the fleet, the Grange, Frankton Grange, should I say, onto the tracks. So there's the locomotive. Now, I have glued this part of the tender back on, but I will not be putting the plastic coal back in because I don't want to risk this bit coming out again. Right, so there we go, it's all on the tracks. And now, all it's left to do is to give it some juice. First we'll give it a test. Oh yeah. Look at that. Smooth as a baby's bottom. I've not felt many baby's bottoms, but that is really smooth. Just look at that. There she goes, passing the pride of the fleet and pride and joy, Commonwealth of Australia, the A4. She's just gone into the tunnel, and round there she's going to be coming out. That just sounds a bit weird. And there she is. There's no grinding noises or anything. I know it's not very fast, but you know, we'll get a bit quicker in a bit. And just look at that. The valve gear and the side rod's going up. Stop there on dirty track. There's a zoom in of it all moving, just like the real thing. There she goes, passing the station under construction. And passing the pride and joy and pride of the fleet again. Now, this is not very fast, is it? Or wrong controller. Yeah, that's much faster. Look at that. And that section of track has just been cleaned. Right then, now that we know that she runs very smoothly, I might add, let's get her pulling a train. I know this is the first time it's running, but hey, I did not do it in the last review, so there's no harm in doing it in this one. as it's a GWR loco, we are going to get it pulling some GWR stock. So there's the brake coach. If you can't already tell, I still do not have the railer on me. But you know, what I'm doing now, it does. What's there's 2 coaches on. And then there's the last one. Right, so now let's get the Grange back down onto them. Just on the model then. Okay, let's get it going. In reality, it would take longer to couple the stock up to the coaches because I would not be able to send it off going straight away, but they're models. Doesn't have to be realistic. Now just look at how nice this looks. I know some people might think, oh, it looks better with maroon coaches or GWR clusters, but you know, these coaches are suited to this loco because this is a GWR engine and these are GWR coaches. Right, so what's left to say about it now then? Well, apart from the removable coal idea that I don't like, it's still a fantastic model. And I'll still recommend it to anybody, really, especially those that are GWR fanatics. And for the money, worth it.